Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are officially cracking open a 2,000-year-old cold case to investigate the highly mysterious death of Egypt's most famous and enigmatic queen, Cleopatra. We're going to look at the facts, weigh the evidence, and see if the history we've all been taught actually holds up under a modern forensic lens.
Okay, let's dive right into this investigation. For 2 millennia, the official record has stated that the last queen of ancient Egypt took her own life in this poetic, tragic suicide. But as we comb through the historical evidence today, we really have to ask a terrifying question. What if that official story is actually a carefully orchestrated Roman cover-up? What if Cleopatra didn't commit suicide at all, but was quietly and very carefully murdered?
Now, before we analyze the actual crime scene, we need to establish a clear profile of our victim. And honestly, forget the Hollywood movies for a second. Born in 69 BC into the Greek Ptolemaic dynasty, Cleopatra was not just some legendary beauty. She was an incredibly intelligent political mastermind. She was highly educated, reportedly fluent in up to 9 languages, and unlike rulers who relied purely on brute force and fear, she utilized brilliant diplomacy, charm, and grand strategy to protect her empire from Rome. She was, without a doubt, a formidable geopolitical player. Let's look at the timeline, because it really highlights the intense pressure building around her. In 44 BC, her powerful ally and lover, Julius Caesar, is assassinated. This throws Rome into utter chaos and leaves her highly vulnerable. She eventually allies with Mark Antony, but in 31 BC, they suffer a catastrophic naval defeat at the Battle of Actium against Octavian's forces. And this directly leads to 30 BC, where the Roman army completely surrounds her home city of Alexandria. The walls were literally closing in. Following that crushing defeat, sheer panic sets in. A tragic misunderstanding occurs when a false rumor spreads that Cleopatra is already dead. Heartbroken, Mark Antony literally stabs himself with his own sword. Ancient stories tell us he's carried to Cleopatra, where he dies right in her arms. Following this immense, unimaginable trauma, the queen completely isolates herself. She locks and barricades herself inside her own mausoleum as the enemy forces prepare to breach the city. So what is the official cause of death recorded by the Romans? Well, the widely accepted story claims she managed to have a deadly snake, an asp, or Egyptian cobra, smuggled past Roman guards hidden at the bottom of a small basket of figs. She allegedly allowed the snake to bite her, achieving this quick, poetic, royal suicide, mostly because the cobra was a potent symbol of divine Egyptian power. Section 2. Cross-examining the murder weapon. Now, this is where the official narrative completely falls apart. When we apply basic biological science, things just don't add up. The Roman story paints a picture of a peaceful, swift suicide using a tiny hidden snake. But forensic reality tells a drastically different story. Hiding an Egyptian cobra in a tiny fruit basket without anyone noticing, it's logistically absurd. The physical evidence simply contradicts the legend. First off, Egyptian cobras are massive snakes. We're talking up to 6 feet long. Good luck hiding that under a handful of figs, right? Second, cobra venom does not offer a quick, peaceful death. It causes agonizing, slow, and highly visible neurological symptoms. And finally, historical accounts say her 2 loyal servants died right alongside her. Biologically speaking, it is highly improbable that a single snake would calmly strike 3 consecutive targets, delivering fatal doses of venom to all of them, inside a locked room. It just doesn't happen. This glaring biological impossibility forces us to ask a massive question. If the story of the asp is a complete lie, was it deliberately invented? And if it was invented, who stood to gain the absolute most from covering up what actually happened in that mausoleum? Section 3. Alternative Theories and the Prime Suspect. Enter our prime suspect, Octavian, the future emperor of Rome. His motive and opportunity are crystal clear. Octavian wanted complete, unchallenged control over the vast wealth of Egypt. But Cleopatra was wildly popular among her people. If he kept her alive, she'd be a permanent risk for a future rebellion. On the flip side, if he dragged her out and publicly executed her, it would create massive public outrage and instantly turn her into a powerful martyr. He was literally stuck in a political trap. This exact dilemma is why modern historians are currently weighing alternative theories. Today, the traditional asp theory has very low plausibility. There's moderate support for the toxic mix theory, the idea that Cleopatra self-administered a deadly cocktail of poisons rather than relying on a snake. But a secret hit orchestrated by Octavian's Roman agents, that actually has moderate to high plausibility. Think about it. A secret execution, disguised as a religious and poetic suicide, perfectly solved Octavian's dilemma. It permanently removed his rival without turning her into a martyr. Section 4. The missing evidence. But, every good forensic investigation requires physical evidence, and that leads us to our biggest missing piece. Cleopatra's tomb remains completely lost to history. Despite centuries of intense searching, archaeologists have never found her mausoleum. It might be submerged underwater beneath the ruins of ancient Alexandria, or maybe hidden deep in a remote desert temple. Without her body, we are entirely unable to perform the modern toxicology or bone analysis required to finally, definitively close this case. As we wrap up our investigation today, we must always remember that the official record of Cleopatra's death was written entirely by her enemies. Roman writers spread immense propaganda depicting her as this manipulative, foreign seductress just to justify their war. But the historical reality, as we've seen, is that she was a brilliant, highly educated political leader fighting fiercely to save her empire from the greatest military machine on earth. Honestly, the suicide by snake story might just be the ultimate piece of Roman propaganda, specifically designed to tie a neat little bow on the end of her dynasty. So as you leave this explainer today, I really want you to look at the evidence we've covered and ask yourself, was her death an elaborate poetic suicide exactly as the Romans claimed? Or are we looking at the perfect ancient murder, covered up so brilliantly that it actually fooled the entire world for over 2,000 years? As they say, history remembers legends, but mysteries never die. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next explainer.